Okay, so obviously Epstein's been on everybody's mind. We've been talking about it. I told you my thoughts on the whole thing. I think it's ugly. I think it stinks. I think a lot of evil government organizations destroyed evidence, and I don't think the Trump administration looks great trying to change the subject. But Mike Cernovich has played a critical role in bringing any of this to light, and I want to know what he thinks. You already know what I think. Joining me now, my friend, author and filmmaker Mike Cernovich. Mike, the floor is yours, my friend.
I mean, what's to say, right? What's to say? You got Cash and Bongino as good as it gets in there. Really, if you can't trust them, who can you trust? But you also have that weird hostage video they did where they look like their eyes were like saucers. You've never seen them look like that before. And you have Cash on Joe Rogan saying, hey, if people have things to tell us, call us up, but we're not going to re-victimize victims. And everybody's thinking, nobody is trying to get videos of the victims. Nobody's trying to get the victims' names. What are you talking about, right? It feels like you're in an argument with your wife. We don't want the names of the victims. We don't want the videos of the victims. We don't want to know anything about them. We we want to know who was on the list, or where the financial records were, or why the search warrant application remains under seal, why James Comey's daughter seems to have her hands on every big case. The Puff Daddy case was torpedoed, from what I can tell. Why charge someone with such horrific crimes if you can't prove the allegations? So either that was a mop-up operation, or it was a completely unjust prosecution. And also Comey's daughter had the Ghislaine Maxwell case. It's like, brothers, this is what we're asking for here. Okay, let's stay on topic.
Mike, where do we assign blame for this? Because honestly, I talked about this a bit last night. It feels like maybe the Pam Bondis of the world, maybe trying to ride, the popular wave, maybe overpromised and underdelivered quite a bit. And that's one of the things that's chafing people. When you're all over the news, it's on my desk, we're going to be releasing it, Alina Habba, I have the records, and then it comes out, well, there's nothing. Well, that's the kind of thing that makes people feel like you're covering something up.
Right. It could be a simple case of they jumped into something that they didn't understand. I don't think they realize how long we've been looking into this stuff, right? 27, when I filed my original lawsuit to try to obtain some Epstein records via a civil case I'm involved, I want to say that was January 2017. Do you know how nice my hair looked? I mean, not to, be glib when we're talking about a serious thing, but that was,
wow, Mike. Wow. Thanks a lot for that.
yeah. Wow, Mike, way to just be a joker about things that are
I don't
serious,
have
right?
any. I don't even have any.
Man, right. And so you think, how long ago was 2017? I don't even want to look at pictures of myself from 2017. It depresses me. I go, where did that young man go? That's how long we've been on. It's 2025, almost a decade later. So people who weren't around with us jump in and talk out of pocket, not realizing, no, we've been thinking about this and going over it forever, for thousands of hours. And if you combined everybody on the internet, hundreds of thousands or millions of hours. And maybe they jumped into something that they didn't understand. But I can tell you that the reception from people like me, I would trust Cash Patel with my life. No cap, for real. And the same true of Bongino. And if they called me up and said, there's a threat on your life, I would be gone in a second to a safe house, right? So where does that leave us? That's the big question. Is it Pam Bondi, who maybe doesn't know what she's doing and is getting steamrolled? Because let's not, I don't want to be sexist or anything. She's very attractive. She's also, you would never guess, 60 years old, right? And that generation is much more trusting of institutions and maybe deferential to the institutions. Because I know that if you were the attorney general, or even Matt Gaetz, if he had been attorney general, we would say, why is it that James Comey's daughter always seems to be in the middle of this, right? Maybe we ought to not have a Comey in the middle of this. And that of course would be a question, but not someone that Pam Bondi or someone of that era might necessarily ask.
Mike, I don't get the impression that Trump's base is going to let this go. And I got the impression, and certainly off that answer he gave today, that he wants them to let this go. Why are we still talking about this? We have the Texas floods. And I don't think this is something they're just going to let go. And it really seems like they want us to let it go.
Yeah, I didn't understand Trump's reaction to that either, other than maybe he doesn't understand how big of a deal it is to people, because there's always different ways to interpret it. My view of it, to back down what a lot of people say, is that's not Trump's thing. Trump was never implicated in the files. In fact, he was asked, the witnesses were asked and victims were asked about Trump, and they all said he was never down there. Trump kicked Epstein out of his club for creeping on a member's daughter. So we know it isn't Trump and his own self-preservation doing this, right? But why does he want people to move on? Especially here's something that I can't get over. You can pull up the Wall Street Journal article on this, where in an email to Peter Thiel, and we can imagine that there were many other emails like this sent, Reid Hoffman was trying to make introductions for Jeffrey Epstein and to take people to the island. So we know for a fact that Reid Hoffman, funder of the E. Joan Carroll, remember that case in New York where Trump is suddenly accused of something from 40 years ago that nobody credible or rational really thinks is happening. He has a show trial in New York. So why hasn't Trump battered Reid Hoffman over the head with this? It doesn't add up, does it? Right? I mean, imagine one of your worst enemies, the funders of lawfare, the pusher of all the Russiagate hoaxes, somebody trying to destroy your reputation. I mean, what Trump was accused of falsely, in my view, terrible stuff, right? And Reid Hoffman funded all of this. So why has Trump never mentioned that once? Why does Trump not beat Reid Hoffman over the head with that? I don't know, man. That's a big question that there's no answer that I have. I certainly don't have an answer to that.
I don't have an answer to it either, Mike. Whatever, brother. Come back soon. I'll have even less hair then. I appreciate it. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.